morning, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful webinar this evening. And thank you very much for taking out time to join in for this great webinar, which is the next big play, specialized investment funds for MFDs. Let me take a few moments to introduce to you that who is the provider of the session today. The provider of the session is the Wealth Company AMC. Before we begin, let me introduce the Wealth Company, the organization behind today's session, just the way I mentioned. The Wealth Company AMC is a dynamic and fast-growing financial firm based in Bombay, currently managing a Category 2 alternative investment funds with assets under management of around 10,000 crore, including advisory assets. Yes, you heard me right, 10,000 crores. The firm has also received in principle approval from SEBI to launch its mutual fund business. Yes, I'll repeat it. The firm has also received in principle approval from SEBI to launch its mutual fund business and is now in the final stage of receiving the full regulatory clearances. At the helm is Ms. Madhu Lonawat, a seasoned professional with over 20 years of experience in investment management and corporate finance. Under her leadership, the Wealth Company continues to make significant strides in India's financial landscape. So this is a quick introduction of what Wealth Company AMC is, who is the provider for this session today. Soon they'll be entering into the mutual fund business as well, just the way I mentioned, that they are waiting for their final stages of full regulatory clearances as well. Just to get closer to you, they have started this session, the next big play for specialized investment funds for MFDs to understand what SIFs are all about, correct? So today, our esteemed speakers are Mr. Devashish Mohanty from the Wealth Company and Mr. Rahul Banerjee. Let me take a few minutes to introduce both our wonderful speakers. Mr. Devashish Mohanty, our speaker today, brings over 35 years of experience in the Indian financial sector. He is currently the Chief Strategy Officer at the Wealth Company AMC. In the past, he has served as National Head of Sales and President at UTI AMC and served as advisor to L&T Mutual Fund and HSBC Mutual Fund as well. He had been part of various AMFI committees, including the ARN committee. Currently, he also serves as the independent director in LIC Pension Funds Limited. So, well, he's someone who has worked very, very close with the mutual fund distributors for many, many years in our industry. And he's been part of multiple committees like the ARN committee as well. Mr. Rahul Banerjee is the founder and managing director of PGP Academy, one of India's leading institutions in financial education. A recognized 40 under 40 leader and recipient of the ET Young Entrepreneur Award for Innovation in Education. Rahul is an alumnus of IIM Calcutta and a certified financial planner and a certified international wealth manager as well. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the BFSI and wealth management space, Rahul has trained and mentored thousands of financial advisors, mutual fund distributors, and banking professionals across India, many of whom have successfully cleared multiple aspirational certifications under his guidance. Known for his ability to simplify complex financial concepts, he'll be simplifying this concept as well today for us. Rahul has a unique knack for marketing and making even the toughest exam topics easy to grasp. Through PGP Academy's partnership with global institutions like Moody Analytics and CF Institute, he's been instrumental in raising the standards of financial advisory in the country. So I welcome all of you, our MFD friends, as well as Mr. Devashish Mohanty and Rahul for joining in today's webinar, which is the next big play, specialized investment funds for our MFDs. Devashishji, would you like to add maybe something about the Wealth Company in case I have missed something in a very few minutes?
Sure. The Wealth Company is a part of the Pantomath Group. They are the investment bankers, more than 13 years of experience in Indian financial sector. They have done around 200 IPOs, and many of them were also from SMEs. And they have brought over the controls of Ashit C. Mehta, the broking firm. They have started an AIF, Alternative Investments Fund, 3 years back, which has now more than 7,000 crores of assets under management. In addition to that, there are PMS and other activities related to equity markets and investment markets. They have applied for an AMC, and the in principle approval has been got, and the final approval is only a week away, and which they have been already inspected. SEBI has already inspected. It's likely to come. Allow me to just switch off the phone.
Sure, Devashish ji. So, for our participants today, the session will be in English. But however, we are well equipped to answer all your questions also in Hindi, right? So once the session will be completed, you can keep putting your questions in the chat box. We will certainly try and attempt to answer all of them for you. For myself, I'm sure most of you would know me. My name is Suren Kocha. I am part of Advisor Coach team and been part of the industry for over 30 years in the asset management industry based out of Mumbai. So let's move ahead, Devashish ji. So my first question is coming to you for this webinar. The next big play, specialized investment funds for MFDs. What is a specialized investment fund and why did SEBI introduce this category?
Okay, so first is this is a brilliant regulatory initiative, according to me, and most timely, and it was required for the economy. And there are multiple policy objectives behind this. What it is a new category of investment, firstly treated by SEBI. It is starting operations from 1st of April 2025, although announcement was made in December. And what are those policy perspective? If you see the Indian economy was going through a development phase continuously, and the affluence was on the rise, and also on the rise was complexities of the products, the need for a better product for people who can take higher risk, and they have got a higher risk taking ability, and there was need for innovation. There also need for safeguarding common investors against people who are likely to be misled by similar other products. One example I can give you, the derivative markets. The common investors were liking to go to derivative markets, and large participation was noticed. But if you see the results, there was a survey which SEBI themselves have done, that more than 90% of our investors, common investors, have made losses in that market. So while they need to be upgraded to a newer market, their requirement was to be provided to a safeguard to be provided to them. So like a bicycle has got the side wheels, so that set up the guardrail, so where the investors can actually invest in riskier product but with a proper framework. Mutual funds are proven framework for governance perspective, for a compliance perspective, for even for distribution perspective. So SEBI thought, let people who wanted little riskier products and can get little more return also from that products be provided a separate category. That's why this SIF or specialized investment fund category was created to fill the gap between mutual funds and AIF and PMSs. And if you know the name itself, specialized investment fund, because it is in the mutual fund category, mutual fund framework, and so all the regulations, other things will be in place. Investment means there will be a fund manager, there will be guidelines, there will be products and strategies which will be mentioned upfront, and people will get to know that there will be NAV. So all those things that are investment things can come specialized, because it's not normal, it is something special. And what is that special, we'll discuss during our webinar today.
So what is the minimum ticket size for an investor? And is there any SIP, STP, SWP facility in this SIF, Devashish ji?
Yeah, so what we know, 10 lakhs is the minimum size per PAN across the strategies of a particular asset manager. All the systematic plans will definitely be part of it, subject to, of course, that the investors have got minimum 10 lakhs across all the strategies together.
Sure. And what opportunities do SIFs offer for MFDs, particularly, Devashish?
I think there are a lot of opportunities. I will count them fast as everybody wants an additional revenue stream. So, if there are products which I cannot cater because I am not distributing those products, with being able to sell those products, now new customer class can come to me. As a result, new revenue stream will be added to my overall whatever I am earning. So, this is the first thing, that some investors who are not coming to me will start coming to me, or I can even divide their wallet and get more wallet share, partly for the SIF, and continue to have their mutual fund investments with me. The second gain is enhancing the wallet share. And the third thing is, retention of customer is also very important. If an investor who is also growing, learning, and being aware about the other products being available, if as an MFD I am not being able to contain him, if not being to retain him, then that's a loss to me. So this way I can retain my customers who wanted to test a newer product like PMS and AIF.
Sure. If I can, I just add one more point to this, Devashish, if it's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So, see, off recently post the COVID, we did see that the markets were only going one directional, right?
yeah,
And markets are never linear. So, what had happened as there were a lot of these mom and pop stores which had opened up, managing equities without being a licensed fund manager, managing for these clients who wanted to invest something beyond mutual funds, and they had the wallet size of investing beyond 10 lakhs to less than 50 lakhs. So, which was completely an unregulated, unmanaged, very risky part of the industry because nobody was answerable to the
yeah,
client, to the investor, if the money goes down the drain. So,
yeah,
SEBI was watching that for a long time and they
yeah,
said, why not bring a specific product in the form of specialized investment funds,
yeah,
which is very regulated, managed by professionals, and accountable
yeah.
between the category of slightly above 10 lakhs to less than 50 lakhs as well. Because ultimately, SEBI is looking at only ensuring that the risk is managed the best for a retail individual investor. Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Your question was opportunity. Another opportunity is there, that this can create a strategic differentiation among the MFDs,
Mhm.
that I am an upgraded version of myself. I am now selling SIF. I can cater to higher risky capital people. So that itself will position me with a little higher marketability.
एब्सोल्युटली एंड साथ में इसमें आप लोगों को अपॉर्चुनिटी भी मिलेगा कि वो क्लाइंट जो आज तक वो अनरेगुलेटेड इंडस्ट्री में जा रहा था दैट क्लाइंट ऑटोमेटिकली कैन बिकम योर क्लाइंट टू इन्वेस्ट इन एसआईएफ्स एज वेल.
Sure, sure, sure.
So, what are the investment strategies, Devashish, that can SIF follow? What about derivatives and leverage, etc.?
Yeah, so all these things, derivatives. First of all, like mutual fund, there can be equity products, debt products, and hybrid products. And under each category, there can be multiple strategies on play, like long short, or like sectoral, thematic, real estate, structured product, private equities, hedging, and so all these things were not available in mutual fund per se, or even with limited availability. Now innovation will come with multiple combinations and permutations of these strategies. We are yet to see, but the floodgate will open. People will be very innovative. All our credit opportunities, quant based products, all these products will now come part of SIF. Of course, they have kept a 25% cap on the overall derivative for the underlying gross exposure. But within that also, the newer return framework will emerge, and it will be very. It's important to see that fund houses will observe that how much can be given to the investors, and newer product will come, and it will be very fun to watch.
Wonderful. Rahul, my next question to you. Why should MFDs look at considering SIFs? जब म्यूचुअल फंड्स इटसेल्फ बहुत अच्छे रिटर्न दे रहे हैं, तो ऐसा क्या जरूरत है एक एमएफडी को एसआईएफ की तरफ देखने के लिए? बिकॉज म्यूचुअल फंड में सब कुछ अवेलेबल है आज की डेट में.
एब्सोल्युटली, म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, राइट? देयर इज नो टू वेज अबाउट इट. इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है कि म्यूचुअल फंड सही है. Mutual funds have brought in tremendous amount of wealth for investors, and it has also helped the MFD community grow. दोनों सही है. Having said that, why should we be looking at SIFs? First things first is that who does a typical MFD compete against, right? When we look at MFDs competing in the market, they are not competing among themselves first. It is a competition between an individual MFD and established wealth boutique firms and banks, right? Where there is a lot of drawing on that same client. Who brought in the clients in the first place? म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री में, म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट कौन कराया था सबसे पहले? It is the individual mutual fund distributors who brought in the clients. Those clients over years have invested through SIP and through regular investments, and their portfolio has grown. Now that fund is being stretched by different counters. So the SIF is the perfect bridge product. It is the missing link between the typical vanilla mutual fund and the PMS. The second is we are talking about the 10 lakh entry point. When we talk about investments today, 10 lakh of today, pehle, if we would be talking about it some 10, 15 years back, it would have been basically a lakh rupee. That is what 10 lakh rupees today would mean, right? So it's a much easier entry point. Highly regulated by SEBI. So there is transparency and faith, trust, right? Here we are talking about discussions beyond SIPs, right? Whenever we are looking at investors right now, they're thinking of one terrible word starting with D. Can any participant mention what is that terrible word that clients have now started talking about? Exactly. It is direct plans, right? So when we talk about mutual funds and we are talking about direct plans, the idea is what is the value creation done by the mutual fund advisor, right? So we are talking about, when we are talking about SIF, we are talking about creating alpha, not just allocation, right? Along with it, that retaining clients. So there are so many points that we are being able to make out of why SIF is so important. Is that when you have clients that have grown in wealth, you need to retain those clients across their wealth journey, right? Because quite simply, the wealth creation through mutual funds has been so fantastic that a lot of people have created a lot more wealth than they ever thought possible. Right? Without risk, without tension, simple SIP created a lot of wealth. The challenge is it is the same people who are now asking, not not another flexi cap. Don't talk to me another about another balanced advantage fund. Was the hair? We already have that. What's new, right? So that plus when you're talking about same ARN, no infrastructure change. It's a seamless transition, right? And very important is the first mover advantage. As of right now, there are probably 100 to 200 people who have, and that includes, probably AMC employees who have cleared the exam necessary for the SIF distribution, though a lot of people will be getting in right now. So the first mover advantage is what should be, the reasons as to why mutual fund distributors should look at this space.
तो इसमें भी डायरेक्ट प्लान और रेगुलर प्लान दोनों होंगे राहुल?
See, right now, what we have seen is that this is something that would require advice or mutual fund distributors or somebody in between. Quite simply because what SEBI has repeatedly spoken about or referred to is the regulator has referred to the fact that we need specialized people to do this. So this is not something that they will allow just about anybody to get in. So I do not believe that we'll be having direct plans on SIFs. That is
Sure.
my belief based on everything the regulator has told. And even when we look at investors, like you told about direct plans, if we look at investors and we look at SIF, what the regulation says that if somebody is an accredited investor, only then there is a that 10 lakh margin is not maintained. For everybody else, it has to be maintained. What the regulator has told for even distributors, even if you have 15 years, 20 years of experience with your ARN, you
Hmm.
still would have to go through an exam, clear that exam, sign up once again with the AMC. So everything that I have seen and heard so far tells me that there will not be direct plans in this.
Sure. So which is that because your product थोड़ा complicated है from the aspect of mutual funds.
Now,
So
I would not. I'm sorry, I'm cutting in. I would not say it is complicated. It is
Mhm.
not a question of complication, but it is a question of there is more knowledge required than the average person would have. I
या
would
तो उस
put it that way.
करेक्ट उसके लिए ऑब्वियसली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को एडवाइजर को एक क्वालिफिकेशन लेनी पड़ेगी एंड देन हैंड होल्डिंग करनी पड़ेगी इन्वेस्टर के लिए ताकि वो स्पेशलाइज्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कर सके सो
Right.
सो दैट मींस इंटरमीडिएटरी की रिक्वायरमेंट तो डेफिनेटली रहेगी यहाँ
Right. Absolutely.
तो मेरी बात बताइए कि अगर हम एक एसआईएफ को देखते हैं हम बोलते हैं कि 10 से 12% रिटर्न देगा विद ऑल द रिस्क विच आर बीइंग टेकन इन बट आजकल म्यूचुअल फंड भी उतना रिटर्न दे ही रहा है सो क्यों एक एमएफडी इस प्रोडक्ट को देखेगा
Right.
अपने क्लाइंट्स के लिए
Now, the thing is that this, when we look at returns, when we look at any kind of returns, we have to understand that there is a base return, which is the risk-free return, and then there are additional returns that is created by taking a certain amount of risk. What are we looking at when it comes to SIFs over mutual funds, vanilla mutual funds? And I've told mutual funds are fantastic, right? But there is an option to add more, not only in terms of return, but also in terms of better risk adjusted return,
हम्म
right? So it is not only high return, but also correlation. For everybody who is present here, अभी जितने सारे लोग हम लोग की बात सुन रहे हैं is are part of today's discussion. You would have seen that there are times when the market is sideways and it remains sideways for quite some time. Mutual funds would typically struggle in this. If the market is too volatile, mutual funds will struggle in it. There are no two ways about it because that is how mutual funds are structured. What is the speciality that SIF would have in this space? And SIF, with the usage of strategies related to various derivative products, will actually shine in sideways market. Sideways market मतलब market ना ऊपर जा रही है ना नीचे. The market is neither going up, neither going down. It is dilly-dallying about the same point. Or when we are talking about volatile markets, that is when SIFs will outperform. When we talk about risk-adjusted consistency, SIFs, because of their nature, would typically provide smoother returns with lower drawdowns, right? Then we are looking at period when both equity and debt underperform. Typically, what we see is that if debt is doing well, there is a draw on equity and the other way around. But let's say if we look at 2022, equity and debt both underperform. That is again a specific place where SIFs would act as stabilizers and perform well. And also when we look at returns, sir, you mentioned 10 to 12% returns. I believe that there would be an add-on to anything that mutual funds provide.
Hmm.
12%, I would say that a 12% return, a perennial return is amazing return, right?
Hmm.
So a 12 to 15% return should be amazing under any circumstance.
Sure, sure. तो एक सवाल मेरे जो
One
माइंड
minute,
में है।
1 minute. I
हाँ,
just like to
जी।
add one point what Rahul told. One is an economy to be able to allocate its resources optimally between
Hmm.
the people who need money to for entrepreneurship and growth and people who have money. So we need different types of instruments providing different combinations of risk and return. And mutual funds buy and hold for the long term, and the sectors will do well. That is one side of the story.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I think economy has matured to provide better return from the seekers of the fund, like for example, private equity, pre-IPO, so type of funding or real estate. So that benefit sometimes gives much higher return, but with risk. So this 10 to 12 things is good that the expectation should be moderate, but there could be
Yes.
opportunity of earning higher with higher risk, but that risk will be managed by the fund managers. That's why
Sure.
the common man the will should get some opportunity. Common man in the sense having 10 lakhs minimum ticket size to earn little higher. And so returns we cannot exactly tell that it should be lower than mutual fund or same as mutual fund. So there could be pockets where better returns can be expected. Second thing, about whether direct option will be there be not, I think Rahul's that was Rahul's expectations. But since accredited investors can invest, I think accredited investors can invest in direct plan. So let us not guesswork anything because this is a regulatory matter. We'll confirm that as it comes.
Sure, sure, sure. So, thank you, Devashish ji. So,
Yeah.
Rahul, coming back to you, मतलब कि how can a MFD simplify SIF product to their investor? और दूसरी बात कि कोई इन्वेस्टर उनका ऐसा ऑलरेडी SIP STP कर रहा है सालों से. So how should they bring these clients into SIF? Obviously, we need the minimum investment to be 10 lakhs or above. But how can they bring this SIP STP investor जो सालों से ये कर रहे हैं, सो हाउ कैन दे सिंप्लीफाई द प्रोडक्ट? तो ये एक सवाल एक है. दूसरा सवाल ये है कि कौन सा एग्जाम क्रैक करना है एमएफडीज को, एसआईएफ्स को, ताकि दे कैन स्टार्ट शोकेसिंग टू देयर क्लाइंट्स.
Sure. So first things first is, I think when we talk about SIFs, the idea, and I'm reading of some of the messages that have come through right now, is that SIFs are very complicated. They are not. SIFs are not complicated products. What we do need is a basic understanding of derivatives. That is something that we, as in the advisor, should be having. That being said, how do you simplify any topic for clients or simplify SIS for clients? See, the idea is to use analogies. मतलब ऐसा एग्जाम्पल देंगे जो for a client to understand becomes very easy, right? If I explain a long shot as hedging your bets, that sounds fancy. That sounds fancy. But if I say that if there is an insurance for your equity position, that simplify things. If I say I have an insurance for your equity position, does that make things simple for everybody who is on this call as well? It does, right? So the first thing is to give analogies. The second thing is to link it to goals, right? And not typically short term goals. The other thing would be avoiding jargons. I say that if somebody has understood something, he or she should be able to explain it to a kid, right? And you do not explain things by using jargons. आपको difficult terms use करके किसी को आप समझा नहीं सकते. So avoid jargons, use analogies, link it to goals, and use visual aids, right? So those are things that would be important. The follow-up question that you had was in terms of how do I get somebody who is already been investing for so long in mutual fund? How do I suddenly switch him to SIF? You don't have to suddenly do anything, right? The first thing is to understand which are the clients which are ready to be already graduating. They're
Hmm.
already ready for the next phase, right? Out of your 100 clients, will all 100 clients be SIF ready? Answer may be no. Answer may be yes for some, but for most, it would be no, right? So there are questions of, let's say that we are talking about risk appetite maturity. What does it mean? That you see a client who now can stay calm during when the market is going down. पहले नहीं होता था. पहले I'm sure lot of advisors used to have a lot of calls when the market used to crack. Nowadays, what are we seeing? We are seeing that the retail investors are holding on to their positions, even if the market is going through severe downturn. So, if your client is having good risk appetite maturity, it is not only risk appetite but risk appetite maturity, वो psychologically ready है, then you have clients who are talking about alpha generation, who are talking about portfolio volatility, राइट. उन लोग को ऑल्टरनेटिव कुछ बात करना है, देन यू हैव दोज ऑप्शंस. एंड ऑल्सो we are not, the idea is any new product or product category we look at, the idea is what we are looking at converting only 10 to 15, max 20% of the client, max 10 to 20% of their portfolio, right? Where you will find tremendous amount of success is this: if we look at the data at where wealth is being created in India, and I have done sessions on this specifically over and over again, and over the last many years, this has held true, is that we have a very big upper middle class that is coming in, right? So they could be your rising professionals. Um, they could be simple, like they're getting big fat bonuses, right? You could be talking about second generation entrepreneurs, right? First generation entrepreneurs typically would try to invest in their own business, अपना business में पैसा लगाए, and they would be looking at relatively vanilla products. Second generation entrepreneurs are looking at more modern, dynamic strategies. You could also be looking at pre-retirees, right? So when we talk about um, for whom it makes sense, how will I get it? Earlier, what was the age that we used to be calculating retirement for? The age would be 60. What is the new 60? You ask anybody in the chat, कि रिटायरमेंट एज क्या अब पकड़ना चाहिए, अपना नहीं. We are not talking about advisors, but when you talk about clients, I think that number will go sharply down from 60 to even 45. Right now, the retirement age is also hitting. So you have pre-retirees who are looking to actively manage corpus with hybrid models. So we are looking at doing the necessary work to ensure that those clients who are ready can be brought in, simplify things for them. Uh, the understanding and the knowledge has to be there, and then we build off that.
So, what kind of training and support MFDs will be requiring from the asset management companies to understand SIFs better? Because we understand, yes, SIFs are very good, but a lot of hand holding is required for our MFD friends to understand SIF better, to train them, to support them. So, what are some of those important actionables which will be required, and also what kind of exam which has to be given for SIF by an MFD?
All right. See, when we talk about SIS, first things first is MFDs or any intermediary has to understand the product themselves first before they recommend. So a deep dive of the product in itself, training on the various strategies, structures, techniques, they have to be done. Typically, risk return, most people don't think that is something that has to be done. My apologies. Sorry, right? And along with that, ongoing updates and suitability framework activities need to be done. So the idea is when we are looking at a brand new category, समझना होगा. The first and foremost thing is we have to understand who will be helping us understand. I think the industry as a whole, AMCs should make that effort and to do market neutral structures, to also do, you know, a discussion on product without trying to sell that product on day one. आप अगर कोई चीज समझा रहे हैं, if you are explaining SIF with the sole idea that you sell, go and sell my product, and then you sell only this strategy, I think that does not help. So if somebody is willing, the industry is willing to take that responsibility, some AMCs are willing to take that responsibility. Product neutral, product कुछ भी हो, this is what you need to know before you effectively go out and help clients. That would be important.
Sure. And what exam is required, Rahul?
All right, so exam, I have got a lot of questions on this, that what is the exam that one has to go through.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now the thing is that there is an exam called NISM 13, right? And people go and search NISM 13 का syllabus क्या है या study material क्या है. What is the study material for
Hmm.
uh, NISM 13? Now,
Hmm.
NISM 13 is a combination of three derivatives exams. All right.
Hmm.
So you would have to study for all three derivatives exams that are currently there, right? Which is equity, which is currency, and which is commodity, right? Which is the common derivative exam. And you then have to give that exam, clear that exam.
Hmm. Sure. अब एक सवाल आया है फ्रॉम मिस्टर वीरम कुटी. मिस्टर कुटी, पीएमएस और एआईएफ के लिए भी एक एग्जाम क्लियर करना पड़ता है
Yes.
डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को. सेलिंग विदाउट दोज एग्जाम्स इज कंप्लीटली अगेंस्ट द लॉ एंड ऑर्डर. सिमिलरली एसआईएफ के लिए भी, जैसे आपको राहुल जी ने बताया, देर इज एन एग्जाम रिक्वायर्ड एंड एक्सेट्रा. सो कुड यू जस्ट टेक अस थ्रू सम मोर डिटेल्स अबाउट एआर registration, in panel with the AMC who's offering SIF, and all these little very quickly, Rahul?
Yeah, so the point is that for anybody who wants to sell SIF, quite simply has to clear the NISM 13 exam. There has to be, along with it, you must be having a valid and active ARN. You have to register with that relevant AMC offering SIF, because the SIF will be marked separately from the mutual fund. All right. And you'll have to undergo, AMCs may ask you to undergo training modules or declarations. You may have to give that as well.
So PGP is offering any, SIF training program, etc., or live or recorded sessions, or any examination training, and what cost is that available at, Rahul?
Yes, so what happened was we took our time to come up with our training program.
Hmm.
While you were giving my introduction, the only point that I was comfortable with was the fact that we typically help people clear, exams or difficult exams, or make
Hmm.
simple, right? So that being our strength, we wanted to take our time and then come up with our training. So PGP is launching the SIF training program with
Hmm.
both live and recorded sessions.
Okay.
What we realized is, yeah, this is not the training, or this is not the exam that will happen just like that. Like it won't happen over a day or two of training. that is not how one would clear the SIF examination. Um, it is easy to because PGP does not want to do stuff. We have never done stuff for just for the fact it has to be done. Chalo karte hain. We don't do that. We
Hmm.
wanted to take our time, create a lot of material, live and recorded sessions uh, to help. Now, the thing is that we are launching a special training exclusively with the Wealth Company. And
Hmm.
I
Correct.
will mention here a quick point that for all the accolades that you mentioned for the Wealth Company, I think uh, the biggest point for me was Madhu ma'am and Monty sir discussing SIF training support with me when they do not have an SIF right now. And they were like, Madhu ma'am mentioned that, Rahul, if we want to help, let's say, 50,000 or even a lakh advisors, what do we really need to do? Right? Which was amazing for an organization which is starting off
Hmm.
in the mutual fund space. They don't have a horse in the race yet, but they're thinking of the advisory community. Monty sir obviously is known as a MFD favorite any which ways.
Correct. Correct. So,
So we are having a currency derivative, interest derivative, and equity derivative put together, which is the SIF examination training. I think I'll let Monty sir.
हाँ, मैं इनफैक्ट वही देवाशीष जी से पूछने
Yeah,
वाला था।
yeah.
ये जो
Thank-
आपने जो ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट किया है,
Yeah,
ये
yeah,
एसआईएफ्स के लिए पर्टिकुलरली देवाशीष जी,
yeah, yeah.
वेल्थ कंपनी, तो इसके बारे में आपने
Yeah,
कभी स्टार्ट
yeah.
किया, थोड़ा और कभी थोड़ा विस्तार से बताइए।
Sure. I think we are coming to an end. We must declare this. So we have come out with an idea that as many AMTs as can be possible, we will cover to give them SIF training, which is in a 15 live session training. But this will ensure that they almost ensure that they are able to pass the exam and be able to sell this product. And we are giving it free, zero cost. The cost is taken by Madhu madam, and Rahul will be the teacher and his team will be coordinating. 5,000 IFAs we are inviting to take this training, and while this training is being offered free, simultaneously we are also offering another international award in the wealth management offered by Moody's, again through PGP Academy. That is also free, and our mails have been sent. We will also request advisor coach to popularize this and other mediums, so that our MFD friends are aware that SIF training is being given and that they don't have to pay cost, although it is 15 live session training. While on the subject, there are few queries that I saw in the Q&A. Quickly, I am answering them. I'm aware about the time, this thing, because people are interested. So, Mr. Gopal asked, do you think people are that educated to invest in this product? That is the reason why it is not open to all the investors, and that's the why we want our MFD friends to be educated to guide and handhold the people. Although there is a possibilities of a gain to be achieved, and but they cannot come directly. So your education is more important, and then when can come these things. And somebody asked this. Is SIP pro MFD or pro investors? Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, whatever is pro investor is pro MFD. MFDs and investors are not in the opposite side of any spectrum. They are on the same side.
एब्सोल्युटली।
इन्वेस्टर्स का भलाई है तो आपका भलाई है, और इन्वेस्टर्स का भलाई के लिए आपको सीखना पड़ेगा, अपग्रेड होना पड़ेगा, एंड इन्वेस्टर्स को अपने इंश्योर कर सकते हो कि लेस रिस्क में बेटर रिटर्न कैसे कमाया जाए. So you also, somebody asked that how do we show the track record? For your information, there have been AIFs and PMSs operating in this country, and there are cases of very superlative returns, and that benefit going to only rich people. Now that SEBI has done it, that 10 lakhs people can invest. So it is our job to provide that show that track record, and also get people's investment into these fields.
देवाशीष जी, मुझे एक सवाल आपसे पूछना है कि
Yeah.
बिकॉज आप लोगों ने इतना अच्छा इनिशिएटिव स्टार्ट किया है फॉर ट्रेनिंग फॉर एसआईएफ फॉर म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स विद राहुल पीजीपी।
Yeah.
बिकॉज अभी तक एक एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनी ने अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट भी नहीं किया है, लेकिन आप लोगों ने ऑलरेडी ट्रेनिंग इनिशिएटिव्स लेने शुरू कर दिए हैं। तो
Yeah.
ऑब्वियसली एडवाइजर खोज की वेबसाइट पे तो न्यूज सेक्शन पे हमने ऑलरेडी डाल दिया है फॉर ऑल आवर फ्रेंड्स दैट यू नो दिस इज समथिंग विच बीन लॉन्च्ड। बट मेरा सवाल ये है, how can an MFD find out more as to how can he be part of this training
Sure.
program launched by the Wealth Company?
So we will definitely take help, like help of advisor coach and similar platform who can reach out to your database and your people. And I'm sure it's not it's just starting. We are also planning based on the feedback from IFA associations across the country. We are also thinking of bringing in sales effectiveness and grooming, and again this will be free. And we want MFD communities to grow and upgrade themselves. And let me tell you that our fund house focus, somebody mentioned when you are expecting mutual fund this thing, what will be your targeted fast targeted group will be for your launch of NFO. NFO तो दूर की बात, जब NFO आएगा देखा जाएगा, but we will be always targeting the MFD's welfare, and our philosophy will be pro MFD always. That you have been watching me from UTI 35 years. I am not telling myself, but I have fought with the regulators to get better deal for MFDs and IFAs always, and in the helping the regulator changing policies also sometimes. I have played some role in this B30 special incentivization program and a lot of other things. Even those that how an IFA can be handheld, and that sandbox system, that was also some role I have played. So we will continue to play that role, and Wealth Company is posed to help MFDs, and only MFDs. We have no focus on getting direct business. It will be only through MFDs. We were very clear about that. We are positioning about that. We are MFD friendly mutual fund.
Thank you so much, Devashish ji, for making that so clear to everybody, and that the focus will be what for the Wealth Company Asset Management Company going ahead. Any other thing which Rahul आपको fill in करना है या देवर्षि जी आपको fill in करना है for SIFs particularly before we close this webinar?
I have only one point to make here, right? The entire when we talk about what is to worry, we are all talking about fantastic, positive stuff. What is there to worry about, right? So for any investment related activity, the worry is always going to be what if things go wrong, right? And especially when we talk about derivatives, people have an inherent concern. Now, in this regard, I would want to mention a couple of points. One is that derivatives are a worry when you have retail investors doing it who clearly do not have the knowledge, the information, nor do they have the speed at which these high trade transactions take place. When you transfer that activity to a specialized fund manager, then it is a completely different ballgame, right? The idea here is not that your our investors will be dealing with derivatives. It is the specialized fund managers. And in this, SEBI has created special regulation as to who can run an SIF. Not every fund manager would be running an SIF. There are experience requirements. There are requirements in terms of how much fund you have dealt and how much of it has,
ये आपने बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट बोला। आई एम रियली सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू। आप थोड़ा ऑडियंस को ये भी बताइए कि क्या वही फंड मैनेजर जो म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेज करते हैं वो एसआईएफ मैनेज करेंगे या बिल्कुल सेपरेट इन्वेस्टमेंट टीम भी बनाई जाएगी इसके लिए? थोड़ा ये भी इनको बताइए प्लीज।
So the fund managers would have requirements that they would have to meet, right? So as I mentioned, not every fund manager of a mutual fund would be managing SIF. So
Separate team.
टोटली सेपरेट टीम बनेगी फॉर द ऑडियंस। बिल्कुल अलग टीम बनेगा उसी एएमसी के अंडर जो मैनेज करेंगे
with lot more senior fund managers. So the overall management would be with much more experienced and senior fund
Yes.
managers. That is one aspect. The second aspect is that I think the biggest thing that MFDs have to keep in mind is that they have done fantastic, business has grown for everybody, right? Where the worry is that people are probably not keeping an eye on what is their market share compared to the overall market share, to the overall AUM, to the overall SIP that is coming in. That has been steadily falling for the mutual fund distributor, individual distributor community. And one thing is that whenever there is change that is brought in, and this is a whole new segment that is opening up, the estimation is that the SIF industry is going to be 5 lakh crores in a matter of 3 years, and probably doubling again in a matter of few more years.
Hmm.
Where we are, what we are basically looking at is a first mover advantage, and being there where you can position yourself as a specialist. That is all from
Absolutely.
my end.
Devashish ji, any few words before we end the webinar from your side?
Yeah, so change is a constant thing in our industry, and we are a dynamic world. And
Hmm.
we will be continuing to do more such webinars with you and others, just for the benefit of our MFD friends, and even they can suggest new ideas on which they want to learn new things. We will collect. We will arrange the speaker. The right knowledge initiatives can be set. The training programs can be given, and please take help. And we are there to help you. And so that the potential is much higher. We are just scratching the surface. We can reach there. We can gain. All of us will gain together.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, while I'm, reading a lot of chats, Debashish ji and Rahul, let me give you one very good feedback that people are waiting for those training classes to begin, and they're waiting how should we, enroll ourselves for those training programs and become an SIF specialist as well by passing that exam. So, would request that that interaction can begin. Number two is that I think बहुत ही मजा आया आज with Rahul ji and with Devashish ji while taking us through this wonderful, the next big play, specialized investment funds. I think the audience was also wonderful in asking wonderful questions. And I think what is very commendable is that Company, asset management company through Devashish ji has made it very clear that what will there be their strategy when they start their business, which is going to be very pro MFD driven. I think that's a very, very important point. And to support that, they have started this training for SIF and this webinar today. And they will be reaching out to all of you multiple times through such opportunities. So thank you, Devashish ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul ji. And thank you, all the audience, MFD friends, for joining in today. Thank you very,
I
very
just
much.
one request before ending, Suranji.
Hmm.
So I would take this opportunity to request you. Please help us reaching out to as many as people possible for this initiative. If it is required, some different commercial, we are ready for doing that. Okay.
एब्सोल्युटली बिकॉज देखिए मैं आपने ये पॉइंट बोला तो मैं बोलना जरूर चाहूंगा अपनी ऑडियंस को और अभी भी हमारे साथ ये बोलते हुए तकरीबन 120 लोग जुड़े हुए हैं दैट आई एम श्योर मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर यूजिंग एडवाइजर खोज रिसर्च टूल्स वेरी वेल they love the website which provides them all the research tools. आज more than 110,000 distributors हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं through the website. So yes, definitely all our support is there for Wealth Company Devashish ji to take this wonderful business ahead with you.
Wealth is awaiting all your company.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.